team spirit and teamwork to the U.S. Air Force. I've done 3 tours of duty and battle over the skies of Iraq and understand truly that freedom is not free. After I returned from my 2nd tour of duty, I got a new mission in my life from God. I was on a commercial airline flight with identical twin brothers, Corporal Brad Buckland, who was bringing Corporal Brock Buckland home from Iraq, who had been killed in action. And that night I watched the Bucklands on the darkest night of their lives as they stood there on the tarmac, and his brothers, his sisters, his parents, his 4-year-old son welcomed Brock home for the last time. Is that coffin lynched down the cargo hold with the American flag draped on top. I knew at that very instant that I had a mission. It wasn't in the F-16 and it wasn't on the golf course, but it was to instead ensure that we leave no family behind on the field of battle. And I founded the Folds of Honor Foundation to do just that. I want to finish this evening with a lesson that I learned that really laid the foundation for everything that has happened in my life since playing golf at the University of Kansas. And it occurred in a classroom. It was actually Sports Psychology 101. And the professor walked into the room. He was about 10 minutes late, actually. And as you can imagine, most of the basketball team and the football team was in there, and the sports psych going to be the easy class. And he walks up to the board, doesn't acknowledge the chaos in the classroom, and writes the word volition on the board. And then he walks to the front of the room, and he just waits until the class settles into this silence, and looks back to the board and says, "Can anybody tell me what the word volition means?" Another salvo of silence. Finally, he lets us off the hook and he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, volition will define your life. It is the most powerful word in the world. Volition is the power of choice." He said, every day you wake up and you have a choice. You can be positive, you can be negative. You can choose to love, you can choose to hate. You can choose to be that person in life that builds things up and tears things down. You can choose to pursue your passions and your dreams. And in that moment, armed with the power of volition, I knew that I was going to pursue that dream I had since I was 12 years old, and that was to be an F-16 fighter pilot. What I had no idea is how ultimately that would combine with my background as a golfer to launch the Folds of Honor Foundation and change so many lives. I hope that all of you, as you go on in your life, understand that armed with the power of volition, anything is possible, and that your choices will ultimately culminate to write your life story. That you can choose to do anything, pursue your passions and your dreams. So as I finish up, again, congratulations to all the Griddy Award winners. I'd like to thank Bob Carnegie, especially for being a great wingman and supporter of the Folds of Honor Foundation. Have a wonderful night, and Godspeed.
My name's Bob Carnegie. One of the reasons I'm here, I was a high school football official for 44 years. So a lot of the coaches in this room have been able to yell at me. I hope that's all they did, but I'm not sure. But that was Dan Rooney. He's a pretty dynamic person. This video has been used several times, and it's my job to try to update it every time we talk about it to let you know what's happened with the Folds of Honor. The incident that he talked about on that video started in 2006, and that was an idea in 2006. When I give you some of the numbers, it's amazing that was 13 years ago, and I bumped into this program in 2010, just walking into the golf course in Valparaiso on a Labor Day weekend, and there was a little basket on the counter, and they said put $1 in the basket. And so if you can afford to play golf on a Labor Day weekend, $1 isn't a whole bunch. So I said, what? And they said, well, Folds of Honor. And I said, I never heard of that. And so, well, they didn't really know a lot about it, so they just said, here's the website, and I went and checked it out. Having spent 13 months in Vietnam a long time ago, I immediately realized that back then in the 60s and 70s, first off, soldiers returning from that war zone weren't welcome with open arms. The second thing I realized, what happened to my buddies' families when they came home? And I knew the answer was nothing. So I said maybe I should look into this. And I watched this grow. just can't believe. So the person who's been impacted by a death or a seriously wounded military member gets the opportunity to apply for a scholarship from the Folds of Honor. The scholarships, when I first got involved, were worth $10,000 over 4 years. They would grant it 1 year at a time so that it wouldn't be front-loaded, and they'd apply 4 times and they would have received $10,000. Today it's worth $20,000, and it's for someone who's lost a parent in Iraq or Afghanistan. It's all post 9/11. But the important thing to understand, remember it started 13 years ago. Today, there are 2 million individuals that have been impacted in that manner. In other words, they lost a family, left a parent, or they were severely wounded. So there's 2 million kids in the pool. Of that 2 million kids, 9 out of 10 do not qualify for any federal government college assistance. That's where this scholarship foundation fits. And as I've seen it grow every year, when I first got involved, there were about, it was about 8,000 kids probably, then it was 10, then it's 12. Today, there are 20,000 kids involved in this program or have been involved in this program. Take 20,000, multiply it by $20,000 per kid, you're going to come up with a number of about $400 million. And that's the obligation that Dan leads the charge for to this country to fill the void in the lives of those children so that they know that the American public is behind them even though they've had to pay the ultimate sacrifice. I can't tell you what it feels like to meet a family who has a young boy who doesn't have a father and who's trying to figure out what he's going to do in his life. And so we try to fill that void with the best way we possibly can. Dan has been very much knowledgeable about what happens here. He thinks this is a great, great program because at the time you're getting ready to step out of your high school careers and blossom on the college level, is a time we want you to think about kids like this and how we can help them. And as you grow up and go out and lead your lives, understand you can get involved in programs like this. Doesn't have to be the Folds of Honor, but it's a great way to give back, whether it's on a football field as a coach, whether it's as an official. I'm always plugging for more people to be officials. It's a thing we really need today. But the most important thing is to get involved. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your service, Bob. Special thanks again to Gunny for your support and the support of the United States Marine Corps. Let's give to all those who, how many of you have served or are a parent of one who have served? Please raise your hand. As a parent, as a father of a United States Marine, and as well as a son of a United States World War II veteran, I thank you for your service, and certainly Bob, and thanks to everybody at Folds of Honor. What they're doing is amazing. We're going to move on with our program. Once again, for those of you who are still trying to get through the food line, apologies for being sent your way. Our next special guest has been a friend of mine for probably going on 20 years now. And I can sit here and I can talk about all the things that he's accomplished. You can go to the IU football media site, or you can go inside the program. But I want to tell you 2 really quick stories about my friend Tom Allen. Tom was an assistant coach at Ben Davis High School, working for the legendary Dick Dullahan when I had a chance to really get to know Tom. And Tom, of course, eventually then became the head coach at Ben Davis. And we became great friends and partners for a long time. Then Tom makes that decision that he's going to go off into the college ranks, goes off to Wabash, Lambeth, Drake, Arkansas State, down to Florida, Ole Miss, all those places, and then finally back in Indiana. What's the amazing part of the story is he's trying to move his family from point A to point B during all the times they're trying to grow up. And one of the things that Tom and his wife Tracy wanted to do is make sure that the family had a home. They wanted to have an apartment, wanted to have a home for the kids, some stability as parents. And the neat thing about it is how God kind of orchestrated the steps is, now you got to think back on the last 10 to 12 to 15 years of how volatile the housing market has been during this time. So Tom makes the decision, he's going to go from point A to point B. Within a week, his house sells. He's go to the next job, prays about it, he's going to take the next step. Once again, the housing market is all over the place. House sells. Every step he moved along the way, he was there, and God answered the prayers, and his house was sold. Now, first of all, think about all those steps along the way. That's an amazing story. That's God orchestrating the steps, and that's a neat story there. Another thing about my friend Tom Allen and I, a few years ago, my longtime friend and our MC here, Bob Lovell, had a heart attack. They rushed Bob into the emergency room, and of course, next thing you know, we're not sure if he's going to live or die. And Tom was still as a high school coach at the time, and he and Tim Adams, another friend of ours who's in heaven now, we all got together and we prayed. We prayed for Bob. We wrote a note on a book for Bob that Bob would have for the rest of his life. So I can tell you about the football stuff. I can tell you about why, if you haven't signed with Indiana University, you should. But I want to tell you about my friend and the man that is Tom Allen. You're not going to find a greater human being. You're not going to find a guy that you would want your son to play for. And above all, you're not going to find a guy who's got his foot in the foundation where he needs to be from a spiritual standpoint than my friend Tom Allen. Let me introduce to you the head football coach of the Indiana University Hoosiers, my friend, Tom Allen.
Appreciate that, Paul. Really excited to be here. You know, I do a lot of these, I speak a lot of places. This opportunity has taken me a lot of different states. As Paul mentioned, we've been as a family, I say we a lot. I know this about my wife. She's not here today, but she's an amazing part of the journey we've been on to be able to do what I do. And it's a tremendous blessing to have the person that the Lord gave me years ago, and she had no idea what the next 27 years were going to be about. But you know, it's interesting. I do these, and I always have one plan for what you talk about, and think about who you're talking to, and you want to do a great job of being able to give something that the whole group will benefit from, and whether it's encouragement or some kind of challenge or whatever it may be. And I found myself on a plane again. I fly a lot of places, and was at the airport a couple of days ago. This trip was different. This really wasn't what I was going to talk about, but I just kind of feel led to. I was in the airport. As usual, people recognize you. I want to talk about what you do, talk about the team, ask about spring ball, and ask where I was going soon. I was going to and I wasn't. I was actually going on a plane to Pennsylvania to be with my family because we just lost someone in our family a few days ago. So, kind of say that. No, I know we're sorry. And I understand those. Everybody's genuinely concerned, but they don't expect you to, and they expect me to be going somewhere to recruit or speak or whatever. But the person we're going to see was somebody actually I married into the family. It's my wife's grandmother, 95 years old. You never heard of her, no reason to, but simple woman that raised on a farm, tough, great worker, huge heart. But she was a prayer warrior for our family ever since I joined her family 27 years ago. It's easy for me because as a married guy, you always ask, you got to keep track of how long you've been married. Well, for me, That's how many years I've coached. We got married right after college. So the number of years that I've coached is how many years I've been married. So when they ask, hey, how long have you been married? I'm like, that's easy for me, I know it. 27 years. I've coached for 27 years, married for 27 years. So that gets me off the hook on that. But my wife, and you know, life just kind of has a way of sometimes giving us things that we don't deserve maybe or expect or even want. And my wife lost her mother when she was 8 years old. Things happened and she passed away. And this individual I'm talking about, her name is June Landis, she became my wife's mother through the loss of her own. So, a pretty special place in our heart is the reason we were boarding this plane. So I actually just got off the plane about an hour before I came here, and my wife and kids went back to Bloomington, and I drove up here to speak. And just kind of heavy on my heart was just life. I coached this great game. My dad was my high school coach. I love what I've been called to do. I was raised on the sideline in this state. My dad was the Indiana high school football coach for 30 years. It's always been about people. We're building new facilities, and everybody's got new facilities, it seems like everywhere. It's really not about that. It's about people. So I was on the plane heading to Pennsylvania, and at this very time yesterday, we're standing at a really small country church, and there's about 20 people at the gravesite funeral that we had, and I spoke on behalf of my wife and our kids, because all these moves that Paul was talking about, when I made the decision to leave Ben Davis High School and go coach college football, June Landis, my grandmother by marriage, so I guess my grandmother-in-law, she was always there for my wife. We were 7 states in 10 years. That's pretty tough. That's the time period when I left Ben Davis and went the college route and then came full circle and was hired as a defense coordinator in Indiana. 10 years, 7 states, all those moves. And every time we moved, Tracy called Grandma, we'd fire Grandma out, and she'd spend time with my wife and the kids and help in the transition. And every place we went, didn't matter where, she didn't care. She really probably didn't even know whether I was coaching small college or when I got in the SEC, didn't matter to her. She always prayed for our players. So it was very fitting when I got the phone call. One thing I do with our guys is I meet with them as much as I possibly can. I say I got them about it. To me, it's all about relationships. So we've got 125 players on our team, so to meet with every single player face-to-face takes about 2 weeks. So as soon as spring ball's over, I start the process of going through and meeting with every single player. In my office, one-on-one, just talking about life, talking about spring football, talking about where they're at, talking about their academics, their future, what they want, making sure everything's lining up. Just talking about the things that I think are important. So while I'm in one of our meetings with one of our players, I get a phone call, and my aunt, and she never calls me, so I knew what it was. I heard she'd been sick, and so time was coming, and we were expecting this call. So I took the call, got the news I was expecting, and she had passed, and so I hung up and looked at one of our players that was sitting across from me, and I said, you know what, you don't even know Tracy, which is my wife's name. I said, you don't know her grandma, but she's been praying for you ever since I got this job. She goes through our roster and prays for our guys, name by name. No matter where we've been, Lambeth, high school you never heard of, Wabash, you may have heard that when that's in-state, Drake, Arkansas State, South Florida, Ole Miss, didn't matter. Faithful, faithful, faithful. Living her life out of service. Tough. Physically tough. Emotionally tough. Lost her husband 14 years ago. Raised a family. Just a worker. In the background. Supporting, loving what you in this room have got. We got parents, we got grandparents here, we got young people. Some guys are about to graduate here in a few weeks. Some got another year left. We got coaches, all different individuals in this room. We've all experienced things like this. The phone calls you don't want to get. It's about people. It's about relationships. It's about doing something not because it's what's best for you. It's what's best for the people around you. That's what families do. That's the decisions they make. That's the sacrifices that people make. That's why I love being a football coach. I can do that which I have dreamed about doing. I love playing the game. I love coaching the game. But more importantly, I get to teach about life. Because I got on that plane to head back here. I actually had a couple guys on standby because I've thrown through Chicago many times. You never know. Delays, and they even had some snow yesterday, which is crazy. But so I had some coaches on standby. If I don't make it back, you're going to have to fill in for me today. But just thinking about sitting on that plane, coming back to Indiana, just thinking about the impact that one simple person has made on so many lives. Somebody that nobody will ever see on TV. But it's made a difference for all eternity. That's what I get to do in this great sport of football. I get to impact young men and their families and our coaches and their families for something way bigger than just winning a game on Saturday. And I challenge each one of you guys in this room and girls and everybody that's here listening. What are you pursuing in your life? I'll read a quote here from John Gordon. I'm a big reader. You guys have heard me speak. The coaches have heard me speak. I always challenge you to read good books, and he's a guy that I read a lot. To build greatness, the love of what you're building has to be greater than the challenges that you're going to face. The love of what you're building. I also like to think of when you're trying to pursue a dream, which many of you guys are, as you sit here and listen today. As you pursue a dream, is that pursuit, the love of that pursuit of what you're dreaming for, is it greater than the adversity you're going to face to get what you're chasing? Because that's life. Talking to one of the high school coaches here this afternoon about one of his former players. He plays for us right now. He lost his grandpa about a month ago. Really, really tough time for him. Really, really tough time. Rocked his world, kind of out of nowhere. But I will say this, after that was probably a 2-week period of some really gut-wrenching, some really tough, hard conversations about life, I can honestly say that that young man and I are probably as close as we've ever been. Is the love of what you're pursuing greater than the adversity you're going to have to pursue or chase to get what you want? Paul mentioned about the moves. Those moves were hard. They were tough. I'm leaving, I go on, and my wife is back with the kids, and when we left BD, our youngest was in kindergarten, and so they're all in that kind of range of second grade, first grade, kindergarten, all in that window there. All those different schools that we had to take them in and out of. Moves in college happened during the school year, so those are hard. And those were times where, for me, I had to really decide, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Got a point about halfway in the middle where I had to make a decision. Do we stay the course or do we turn back? Because it was getting tough. Financially, it was getting tough. Every time you moved, we just got to where we lost all the money in our homes. You basically just trying, as Paul said, I was just absolutely convinced I was not going to let my kids feel like we were temporary. We bought, sold homes all across this country. Just kept losing more money every single time. But that really wasn't the point. I had a dream that I wanted to pursue. You got a dream you want to pursue. You decide what that dream means to you. Is the love of that pursuit of that dream greater than the adversity you're facing? I coached at one place, I've already mentioned it a couple of times, by the name of Lamberth University. It doesn't even exist anymore. They closed the doors down a year after we were there. Financially fell through. Real small school. I'd never heard of it myself either before I went there. So we go there, and the head coach, when he's interviewing me, he said, you got to have the right glasses on when you come here. He said, because you got to see what we're trying to build. Basically what he was telling me was, don't pay attention to what we got, because there ain't much to it. Terrible looking weight room, the field was really small. I mean, it had like really, he had been to Ben Davis. I met him when I was coaching at Ben Davis, so he knew the facilities we had at BD. And they were far superior. It wasn't even close to what this college had. So he knew that I'd be a little bit disappointed. Now, I went to Wabash, and Wabash has beautiful facilities. This place did not. So talk about having the right glasses on. Well, it gets even better. So we go there, and it was the only place I learned the Bible lesson where I did not take my family right away. I thought it would be the best thing to do to let them finish out school. I learned the Bible lesson. I was never going to do that again. But for 4 months, I lived in Jackson, Tennessee, and my family stayed up in Crawfordsville, Indiana, and I would try and come back as much as I could. Well, so we still had our house there, and so you don't make a whole lot of money at these smaller colleges, so I didn't really have a whole lot extra, so I'm trying to find a way to make it work, and so I get this house with 3 other coaches, and it's a dump. I wish I should have taken pictures just for the sake of illustration later in life. So there's no bed. I got a bedroom. All I have is just a mattress. That's what I slept on for 4 months. I really didn't care. I'm pretty easy to please. And so, but one night I wake up, in the middle of the night, there's a cockroach crawling on my foot. Okay? True story. Okay? My wife would have been there for about 2.2, and we'd have been, somewhere else. But, I'm a guy, so I kind of dealt with it, but it was kind of gross. But that's what you do. So, it got even better in the bathroom. Okay? So I get there the first couple of days, and the bathroom, matter of fact, I got asked this question on ESPN when I'm getting ready to play. When you play these games on national television, the people that do the commentary, they meet with you a couple days before the game. At the hotel, if it's your own game, or at our complex, if it's a home game, that kind of thing. So this lady that does the sideline, they're always trying to find some backstories. And so she asked me she had worked with a couple other coaches that were at Lambeth, and then went on to Ole Miss eventually. She asked about this place I lived at Lambeth, and she knew some of the other coaches. So I'm telling her this story, and so she talks about it on national television. So bottom line was, the bathroom, the way it was all set up, usually a bathtub has like a little mechanism that comes down, and that's where they walk out. There was none of this. There was a pipe out the side of the bathroom wall. So when you turn the tub on, it shot right horizontal all the way to the other side. Okay? And so, since the water came out there, it never got to the spout up top because it was broke. Okay? So, this is no lie. So for 4 months, okay, if I wanted to take a shower at our place that we lived in, I actually paid $100 a month for this place. I should have been given $100 a month to live there. So I paid for this place, all right? So, you turn the water on, it just shot out. I'd have to bend over and wash my hair, get on my hands and knees to take a shower in my house, or whatever you want to call it, at Lambeth University. Not quite the glamour of going and leaving whatever to go to coach college football. And we laugh about it. Matter of fact, one of our coaches that's on our staff right now, he was with us at that place, and we laugh about the time. We spent 2 years there. And the thing that's kind of crazy is, I thought I could leave Ben Davis and go right to Indiana, or a place like that. I tried to. That was my plan. That's what I thought was the best plan. Spent 15 years coaching high school football, had some great opportunities, great experiences, and then go coach in the Big Ten. The day I left Ben Davis, that was my dream. I wanted to be defensive coordinator in the Big Ten. I told everybody that asked me. That was my dream. That's what I was pursuing. I didn't envision that. I didn't envision Lambert. I didn't plan to go to Wabash. 10 years later, 7 different states, all those moves. We got to Ole Miss, and we actually got, to the point where we got a decent pay. And yet, it was never about the money. It was about the dream that God put in my heart. The passion I wanted to coach, and I was raised in this part of the country wanting to be in the Big Ten. That's what I wanted. But you know what? When I left BD, I was never guaranteed that was ever going to happen. Not by anybody. Even to this day, wasn't guaranteed nothing. Neither are you. You all got different dreams in this room. Even as adults. What's tomorrow hold? I don't know. That's why I tell our players all the time, man, live your life with purpose and with passion. We have one words every year that our team selects, our coaches select, our players select. Our one word for 2019 is grit. Definition for grit is perseverance and passion towards a long-term goal. That's what grit means. Angela Duckworth is the author of a book entitled Grit. She's a Harvard grad, and a bunch of degrees from a lot of different places, and doctorate in psychology. Really, it's a book about the study of why are people successful in this life. She came to this conclusion. It's because they have grit. It's not about IQ. It's not about how good you look. It's not about your personality. It's not about all those other things. It's about how hard are you willing to fight for what you want. Through all of life's adversities. Bottom line, period. You can wrap it up a bunch of different ways. You can put a little bow on it. You can do all these things. You can do the last several days, what's going on across this whole country in the professional football is called the draft, right? Everybody thinks about the draft. They do the combine here in Indianapolis, and they 40 times and verticals and shuttle runs and all that stuff. And a lot of times that you'll see this guy come out of nowhere and he has a really good combine performance, and then his stock goes way up. They may pay attention to what usually happens with that guy when it comes back to playing football and going through the rigors of the season and game after game, week after week. Those guys are the combine guys. Are they usually the guys that end up being the best players? Not usually. There's exceptions to everything. Not usually. Why? Because what goes on inside of here matters most. That's why that word grit, to me, I want that to define our program, period. This has nothing to do with recruiting. This is about life. I coach the way I want my own kids to live. I tell parents all the time in recruiting. You parent the way you coach. I coach the way I parent. I can't just become a different guy. I can't just change. The things that I care about, I care about. The things that I believe are important, period. My faith and my family are up here. I'll tell our team this all the time. I've never been through one funeral, never been through one tragedy in life where all we're talking about was money or possessions. All we talk about is our faith and our family. So why wait until you're at the crunch time of your life to focus on it? I can't tell our top players what to believe. I don't want to. But I know what I believe and why I believe it. Live your life with purpose and conviction. I do have a funny story about that. So I'm with our team one day, and I asked our players, I said, man, I'm talking about conviction. I said, you know what? Does anybody here know what conviction is? Kid raised his hand. Sitting there in front. I'm not going to say his name because you might know who he is. He said, Coach, that's when you get arrested. Well, that is one of the definitions for conviction. That is not what I'm thinking of right now. That's a true story. Kind of threw me off my train of thought. Okay? I want our players, I say our because that's the guys I deal with every day, okay? If you were one, I would be saying the same thing to you. I want you to live your life with conviction. Know what you believe and why you believe it. I'm not going to tell you what to believe. Now, I guarantee you by being around me, you're going to know what I believe. By the way I treat you and the way I live my life. But that's the kind of young men I want to develop. Purpose-driven, conviction-driven individuals that know what they want and why they want it. Now, in this book called Grit, she'll go through and there's a lot of great studies. I'm going to bore you with all the different ones, but if you like to read, you should. I'll say this all the time. We're a product of the books we read, music we listen to, and who we hang out with. What you fill your mind with, who you associate with, that's how you think, that's how you talk, that's how you're going to live. Whether you're 15 or 50. That's what life has taught me. And I say it over and over again. To our coaches, to our players, to everybody that'll listen. What you fill your mind with. So at this book that I've challenged our staff, and the staff read for us this off-season, I think about what is greatness. We're always trying to become great. That's what the book's about, trying to figure out. The guys that figured out greatness, this is what their qualities are like. This is what this person looks like. It's that person who achieves at a high level and does it consistently over time. That would be somebody that's got greatness to it. You always wonder who the greatest players are. I told this story at the Coaches Association. I'm going to say it again because it ties in with both the NFL and high school and everything in between. One of our players at Ben Davis, I was there for one full season, so this is the start of my second year, and one of our young men had been raised in that school district there from a little kid. His dream was to play for Ben Davis and lead him to the state championship one day. As a junior, he was a good, solid backup, and so now this was his time to be a starter. And we go to our first 7-on-7 tournament over the summer, and I put him with the twos. And he was hot. I didn't think he was good enough. I loved him. He was a great kid, works really hard. Great kids get you fired sometimes. You coaches know what I'm talking about. Oh, he's a great kid. That usually means there's some limitations on the football field. Okay? But he's a great kid. Now, this is one of those guys that was a great kid. He was. Did everything he asked him to do. I didn't think he was good enough. Maybe step slow, whatever. So, he's hot. I knew he was mad. He never said anything to me, though. I kind of was waiting for him to come see. He never did. So, summer goes through. We keep doing, we do a lot of stuff like everybody does. Working hard, training, get through the season, and a few months after, he gets better. So we get into fall camp, and he's just starting to make plays, and do your scrimmages, you get ready for your first game, and long story short, this kid ends up being a good player for us. He kind of surprised me, and I was wrong. So fast forward to this past January, so I'm down in the Senior Bowl, and I've told this story, and I get a little more details, but I don't want to bore you with all, but about this young man. I've told this story to every college team I've coached on, because to me, man, he absolutely was what I'm looking for. That kid, he defines the word grit. Tough, passionate, still wasn't tall enough, wasn't fast enough, all the measurables weren't there, but this inside here was off the charts. So this is a part of the story I didn't know till this past January. All these years have passed since I coached him at BD. He graduated in 2000. He was on our 99 state championship team. So I'm going up the escalator. Some of you guys may play in the Senior Bowl. If you're blessed enough to do that down in Mobile, Alabama. So at the Senior Bowl, I go to it every year now, and they have all these activities there, and all the players are there, all the scouts are there. It's a pretty cool atmosphere at the hotel. So I'm going up the escalator to go see one of our players, and I hear somebody yell, "Hey, Coach Allen!" And it's this kid. His name is David Blackburn. He's a scout for the Baltimore Ravens. Graduated from BD. And I talked to him a couple times on the phone, but he lives in Phoenix now and does his work from out there. So we get a big old hug and we start talking. Well, I bring up the whole thing about, and we never talked about it. All these years passed and just kind of like one of those things, you know, I have a ton of respect for the guy, but never really brought it up and everything. So I finally said, you know what? I said, I've been talking about you to all my teams. And I started telling him the story. He stops me. He said, Coach, let me tell you what happened. He said, remember that, you know, when you put me with the twos? I said, yeah. He said, man, I was mad. I said, I knew you were. He said, so I get in my car after it was over, and I'm just complaining about you to my dad, and I'm saying all this stuff, and I'm just going on and on and on. This is him and his dad in the car after that 7-on-7 tournament. And he said, my dad said, are you done yet? He said, I guess. He said, what are you going to do about it? You want to transfer? You want to quit? I want to go coach. I wasn't the head coach. I was just the DC. So you want to go talk to Coach Dullahan? Or do you want to work and prove to Coach Allen that you deserve to play? He said, Dad, I want to prove to Coach Allen that I deserve to play. So he said they proceeded to go to some sporting goods store and they bought every mechanism they could find for speed development. All those parachutes, and he said we bought a weighted vest and weighted ankle things and bungee cords, the pulling, you know, all those different things you could find for speed development. He said after every single workout over the summer, my dad and I would go out there and do something extra every single day. Now I will say this, I had coached several different places before I went to Ben Davis. I know everybody works really hard, but at that time in my career, in 1998, I'd never been around a group of guys that worked harder than that group of guys did. With all the things that we had them do over the summer. So he was doing all of that, and he was doing extra with his dad at some park by their house. To prove to me that he deserved to play. And he was good enough. Because he knew. I didn't tell him you're too slow. He knew. And day after day after day, he proved he could do it. And as I'm sitting here listening to him tell me this, I'm just like thinking, man, it was already a good story that I used to tell. It just got way better. And get this, he works for the Baltimore Ravens, and they read the book Grit 3 years ago, according to him. They came up with a whole systematic way of trying to identify grit when they're going through the draft process. I said, David, that was you. He said, I know. He's like, I'm trying to find a guy that's obviously got more talent than I had, this is him talking to me, but that has that something on the inside that you can't see, that you can't measure, that you can't put a tape on, you can't put a stopwatch on. And the best thing about grit is, the one quality that makes grit special is effort. Why should that make you excited? Why should that make me excited? Because who controls that? Yeah, I do, and you do. I know it's some ways a little bit of a left-handed compliment. Sometimes, you know, those mean that it's like kind of, sort of, compliment, kind of, sort of like you don't belong kind of thing. I've gotten a few of those along the road. I'll never forget my first press conference at Ole Miss. The reporter sits there, and that was the first job I ever had where the assistants had a press conference. And I'm standing there in front of the press, and they're asking me questions. One guy raised his hand. He said, Coach, do you realize? He said, do you need to pinch yourself? He said, 2 years ago, you're coaching at Lambuth University. Now you're in the SEC. In other words, why are you here? How'd you get here? You're not supposed to be here. Your resume doesn't match up with everybody else's. And he was right. I kind of got the same question when I came to be the head coach in Indiana. They did a thing 10 years ago. Where were they? Well, the first time it came out, I was the DB's coach at Wabash College. My first year as head coach. So 10 years ago, I was coaching at Wabash. I wasn't even a coordinator. Coaching the secondary. One of the best jobs in America. I love that place. They love football. The kids are there. They're tough. They're smart. They're motivated. Brock Spack told me this. Have you heard of Brock Spack? He used to be at DC at Purdue for many years. I spent a ton of time with him. He's the head coach of Illinois State. He told me, Coach, I've coached for all these years. That's the most fun I ever had was at Wabash. So he's one of the guys I went to and said, should I take this job and leave Ben Davis to go to Wabash? Great place. But the thing was, when you look at all the other there's 14 head coaches in the Big Ten. Not one of them was from Wabash. So 10 years ago, some were head coaches somewhere, some were coordinators. They were all to Division I level, except for me. I didn't belong. I told our team this, and I say it a lot of times, I'm a walk-on in this profession. I had to earn this thing the hard way. And there were times when I wasn't sure it was going to be worth it, because it was too much stress on my family. I had an amazing wife. I wish she was here today so you could meet her. Awesome kids. It's hard on them. But we believed in something that we felt we were called to do. David Blackburn believed in something he wanted in his heart. And I wasn't going to keep him from doing it, even though I didn't believe in him at the time. He had grit. So he sent me all the stuff that the Baltimore Ravens use to evaluate grit in their players. And we do the same thing we evaluate for high school. There's going to be guys who just got drafted. Guys who are supposed to be whatever. And then there's a whole bunch of guys classified as undrafted free agents. And I guarantee you this, there's going to be a whole bunch of those guys that are going to be better than the guys that just got drafted. Why? Because of grit. So it don't matter. If this is the world I live in, so this is the world that I know. And it's experiences that we've had in the family. And we're a product of the people we're around. One of the best men I know is my dad. Tough, smart, big old heart. Matter of fact, one of the high school coaches in this room played for my dad. He's probably the biggest reason why I'm standing here today. I saw him love his players unconditionally. That's how he loved me. Means I didn't always deserve it. Live your life that way. Live your life with purpose and passion. Live your life with conviction. Know what you want and go chase it. Don't let anybody talk you out of it. I'm going to stand here and tell you this. There's no fault in going to play at Wabash or Lambeth or Drake. Don't buy into that lie. I played Division III football. I wrestled Division III. Played both sports. Had an amazing experience. If that's where the good Lord leads you, embrace it with everything you have. I had a dream to be in the Big Ten one day. To be honest with you, I didn't expect to be the head coach. I expected to be the head coach of Indiana. I was just trying to live by a painting that I have on my office wall that says this: wherever you are, be all there. Think about that. Wherever you are, be all there. I had to remember that when I was at Lambeth and Wabash and Drake. Be all there. Give those boys everything you have. Love them with all of your heart. Coach them like you're coaching in the NFL. My quote says, wherever you are, be all there. Live to the fullest every situation you believe to be the will of God. That hangs on my office wall. That's my challenge to you. No regrets. No turning back. Love the people around you. Care about the people around you. Had a guy tell me once that he said, you know what, in this profession I think you might struggle a little bit. And he said, because I don't see you being the kind of guy that's going to step on others to get somewhere. And he was right. It's not how I'm wired. That's not how I was taught. But I've been blessed to be in a position of influence. So I have no idea where you guys are going to go, what schools you're going to go to, what path you're going to be. Some guys have already made those decisions. But I challenge you. Pursue the dream in your heart with everything you have. Love well, live with purpose, and have no regrets. Congratulations to everybody in this room that's getting an award tonight, coaches and players alike. You worked your tails off. Some of you guys got another year ahead of you. Work, 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 work. There's no substitute for it. Do things the right way. Be somebody that tells the truth. When they look you in the eye, they know you're a man of integrity. I appreciate you. Some of you guys are going to come to Indiana one day. Some of you guys are going to play against Indiana someday. I love you just the same. Elio.
Please, once again, a big hand for Coach Allen. Thanks, Coach Bird. All right, let's begin. I told you it's going to be transformation. Did I? Did I not tell you that at the start? I told you you'd walk out learning a lot about yourself and learning a lot about life. And we're just starting. Very well done. Thank you. Our state finalists and champions, presented by the Regional Radio Sports Network, Indiana Football Digest. Throughout the night, if you don't mind, if you're being honored, we'd like for you to enter the stage over there on the ramp. Please be careful. Exit the stage and pick up your award over here. Just remember, this over here is not. Just so you know, these are the steps. Just so you're clear. It's the old athletic director and the risk management up here. To present the champions and finalist awards, Matt Copsey and Brian Schroll from the Indiana Football Digest and Regional Radio Sports Network.
Participated in the state championship games at Lucas Oil Stadium this past year. First, we're going to do our state runner-ups. In Class 1A, in Class 2A, Eastbrook. Class 3A, Evansville Memorial. Class 4A, Evansville Central. In Class 5A, Decatur Central. And in Class 6A, the Carmel Greyhounds. Now we'll move on to our state champions. In Class 1A, for the second year in a row, Pioneer. In Class 2A, Western Boone. In Class 3A, West Lafayette. In Class 4A, Fort Wayne Bishop Durango. In Class 5A, in Palestine. And in Class 6A, Warren Central. Gentlemen, those were your 2018 state champion and state runner-ups.
Up next, we'd like for our coaches, our head coaches who are going to be honored, and our coordinators, if you can make your way toward that end of the stage. It's my pleasure to bring back to the podium the man who is the reason we're all here tonight, Paul Condry.
Follow along in your program, if you will. First of all, in Class 1A, Brian Crabtree, North Vermillion High School. Those ladies and University of Southern Indiana graduated by the faculty of the Class 1A state runner-up finish this past season, as well as the 2014 Class 1A crown. Over his 14th season, which includes stops in North Central or Cooking, Brian has compiled a record of 112 and 52. Congratulations, Brian Crabtree. In Class 2A, Justin Pelling. Before taking over the Stars program in 2003, the Speedway High and Hanover College product served as an assistant at Hanover as well as Mooresville and Brownsburg High School. During his 6-year run, Brian has recorded a 53 and 19 mark and captured the 2A state title last year. Justin Pelling. Fry, West Lafayette Class 3A, a graduate of Lakeland High School and Purdue University. Fry has registered a 6-year record of 68 and 12 and guided the Red Devils to the Class 3A state runner-up finish in 2015 and the 3A state championship this past season. Prior to taking over in 2003, he served as an assistant at West Lafayette. In Class 4A, Evansville Central head coach Troy Rivers. After a 4-year hiatus from the sidelines, the Newcastle High School and Ball State product enjoyed quite a return by guiding the Bears to the Class 1 4A state runner-up finish in 2018. Troy previously had stops at including Owen Valley, Greenfield Central, and South Putnam High School. Troy Burgess, Evansville Central High School. Class 5A, Decatur Central High School, Kyle Enright. During his 3-year run at his alma mater, the Decatur Central and University of Indianapolis graduate compiled a 29-7 record and claimed a Class 5A state runner-up finish this past fall. Enright also served as an assistant at Decatur Central, Warren Central, and Southport High School. Kyle Enright, Decatur Central High School. Class 6A, Kevin O'Shea, Indianapolis North Central High School. The McCutcheon High School and Franklin College graduate guided the Panthers to their first 6A sectional crown since 1993. And a winning season since 2006. Over his 26-year stops at Attica, McCutcheon, Lafayette, Central Catholic, he has captured 5 Class 1A state championships. Kevin O'Shea, Class 6A Coach of the Year. All right, now we're going to introduce you to our defensive coordinator and offensive coordinators of the year. If you guys will make your way up to the podium. David Gregory from Pioneer High School, a product of Pioneer High and Tri-State / Tryon University. David headed up a Panther squad which allowed only 39 points. Wow. On the way, such a slacker. On his way to winning, claiming back-to-back 1A state championships. Congratulations, David. Looks like he's tough. Time to see your water. Did he look like your water boy? Great job, David. When the coach initially sent me the pictures, I thought it was one of the student athletes. Enjoy it while you can, man. Offensive Coordinator of the Year from Western Boone High School, Jamie Comer. The Brownsburg High School and University of Indianapolis graduate played a major role in the Stars' run to the Class 2A state championship by leading a unit which tallied 670 points and accumulated 6,241 yards of offense. Congratulations, Jamie Comer.
Not as if you don't do enough work here, Mr. Condry. Paul Condry now to present the Lifetime Achievement Award, which is presented by the United States Marines.
All right, well, let's do it again. Gunny, you want to come up here and join me on this one? Once again, as you can tell, I don't do notes. I do everything off the cuff. Maybe that's the ADHD thing that we talk about. So the next guy I'm going to talk about is done a spectacular job. He's won everywhere he's gone. We're talking about Bob Gaddis, the head football coach at Columbus East High School. He's going to be named as our Lifetime Achievement Award, which is being presented by the United States Marine Corps. I can talk about Bob being in the Hall of Fame. I can talk about Bob winning games. But I'll tell you what, Bob has done an amazing job as the executive director of the Indiana Football Coaches Association. He's taken Indiana football to a whole nother level. Bob Land, who was there before, did a tremendous job of setting the table at point A. I tell you what Bob has done is taken it to a whole nother level and given Indiana high school football a place on a national scale. So once again, our Lifetime Achievement Award for 2019, Mr. Bob Gaddis.
Thank you very much. And he sent me the agenda and said I had to talk. And as you saw earlier, football coaches kind of like to talk, you know. So, but I'm going to make it pretty brief. First, thank you very much, Paul, and for what you do for Indiana high school football. Thank you to the Marines. I'll tell you this: that when Coach was talking earlier about all of his moves and how he remembered how long he'd been married, my lovely bride is with me today. And we remember last night at a wedding that we've been married for 41 years. I've been coaching for 41 years. So she deserves a round of applause. I'll tell you this, and I'm going to keep it brief. This is the great thing about football. I've been blessed to be in a lot of places. I've had a lot of great players, a lot of great coaches, a lot of great parents. So parents, thank you for what you do, for being here today. I know you cart them around everywhere. But, you know, this business, and I can tell you, it's like that today. I walk in the room, and there's guys I haven't seen for a year, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. I sat next to Coach O. We used to coach against each other 20 years ago. It's like it was yesterday. The relationships you build in this are like no other business in the world. Wouldn't do anything different. So again, thank you very much.
Great honor to present the Excellence in Football Media Award to Kyle Neddenrib from the Indianapolis Star. Those of you in the central Indiana area read his great work. He's a graduate of Missouri State University. Been with the Star 14 years, 11, seems like 14. But the one thing I think that you notice about Kyle, he's a wordsmith. He's very insightful. He's very sincere. He's genuine and authentic. If I can continue to think of adjectives to describe it, I think more than anything, he's a great friend to student athletes and coaches and families in our area. We're lucky to have someone of his stature in the local media, someone who's a champion of what coaches and student athletes do. And again, it's my honor to present the Excellence in Football Media Award to Kyle Neddenrib from the Indianapolis Star. strong stuff. Jason Koontz, here to present the Jason Koontz Badge of Courage Award to the United States Marine Corps.
Good evening, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful time. This is a very special night. It always has been, and we've been giving him thanks all night, but we got to thank Paul for all he's done. He is, as the coach said, the best friend Indiana football could ever have. There's a lot of people in here that know that, and a lot of more people that are going to come to know that. The Badge of Courage Award is an award that was Paul started 10 years ago. It entails individuals who have dealt with major hardships outside of the game of football that are involved in the Indiana football family. Myself, Paul asked me to give this award because when I was young, my dad was a 22-year head football coach at South Bend Clay, and when I became a water boy, I became violently ill. I was unable to play football. I had a brain tumor that caused 7 major neurosurgeries that kept me out of the game, but I was always involved in the game, which is why Paul decided to create this award for people who have things that kind of take them out of the game, but they still remain involved in it. We've had many amazing winners these past 10 years, and tonight's winner is one for the books. Tonight's winner is an individual who defines what it means to be a hero. Jason Seaman's story is one of heroism. A science teacher and 8th grade football coach in the Noblesville Community Schools, Mr. Seaman has made a mark that is inspiring not just to people across our Hoosier state, but across the country as well. Last May, the 25th, 2018, the Noblesville community experienced a scare that all parents in this country fear. A student entered the Noblesville West Middle School with 2 handguns intent on bringing harm to others. Having been excused to use the restroom during a science test, the student returned to class with a pair of firearms and began shooting. What Jason Seaman would do next is what many Noblesville parents will forever be grateful for. Having been first shot in the abdomen, Mr. Seaman, making eye contact with the shooter, threw a basketball to draw his attention away from the students and immediately rushed him, bear hugging him and tackling him to the ground. While fully engaged with this student on the floor, he gave a verbal command to his surrounding students to exit the room and call 911 immediately. In the shooting, both Mr. Seaman was wounded as well as another student, but because of Jason's actions, there was not a single casualty. We are very familiar, unfortunately, with many of these stories in our country where things have not turned out so well, but because of this man's actions, at the end of the day, there were no funerals. I think we can all be thankful for that. Jason later said that at the time, what he did was the only acceptable actions he could have done under the circumstances. In the end, Mr. Seaman and one student, like I said, were wounded, but there were no casualties. There was much immediate support from Jason, as there should have been. In a statement to his students, Mr. Seaman said, "You are all wonderful, and I thank you for your support. You are the reason I teach." Life, as we know, is a very fragile thing. Last May, Jason Seaman served a great purpose in saving the lives of his 7th grade students. His selflessness is a perfect example for how we should all live our lives, whether it's within our own communities or meeting perfect strangers. One testimony from a former student of his that I have to recall because it really showed how he meant what he said is from Molly Miles, who was a few years older at the time after the shooting, but she's always looked back to what Mr. Seaman would tell them, her classmates, during lockdown drills, in which she said, and I quote, "He always said that he was willing to sacrifice himself before he was willing to let anything happen to his students." Molly recalled being told by Mr. Seaman that he would throw himself on top of a shooter before he would let any of the students take a hit. At this time, it is very fitting that we give a major salute and round of applause to the 2019 Badge of Courage Award winner, to Noblesville hero, Jason Seymour. First off, thank you for the award. I greatly appreciate that. But today is definitely about all the hard work and dedication that the athletes and coaches have put in. So I'll keep this very brief. Courage isn't something you just wake up with. It's something that's woven into the fabric of who you are. It's choice after choice after choice that you make, whether the light is on you or you're in the darkness of rooms. Nobody in here's life is a fairy tale. Anybody who tells you it is lying. We all have our adversities. We all have our ups, our downs. But you have to know what you believe in. And like Coach said earlier, you have to have conviction. You have to have integrity. And when you wake up and you have a trial that reaches out and touches you personally, you've got to stand up and face it head on. Because you know what you believe in. And you stand by that. And that's what courage is. So whatever your next chapter may be, to all the players in here, know what you believe in. Know what you stand for. Don't be denied. When the adversity comes, you stand tall. You listen to what's in your heart. And that's the courage that you need to have to be successful. So God bless. Have a great day. Thank you.
My name is Al Breitfelder. I'm here to give out the Brad Breitfelder Spirit of Sport Award. It's been ongoing work for about 8 years now. In the photograph, you'll see on the far side there, my grandson, my son, and I. Our football tradition in our family goes back to 1947. My dad was a Hoberbrickie and did wear a leather helmet. So in the middle is my son before he passed away. A White Sox fan, he ended up a Cubs fan. I don't know what happened. But anyhow, they won the World Series before he passed, and he was totally pumped there. And you can see what his spirit is like. Picture here just to my right. When Brad first had a catastrophic surgical procedure done, his vagus nerve was severed. He lost the ability to eat. He was given 4 years to live. He lived 9 years. The doctors told him, you will not walk your daughter down the aisle to get married. You will not walk your son down the track on senior night. I got news for you. That's senior night. He walked down the track. Not a wheelchair, 2 canes. He practiced. He walked his son down the track on senior night. So that's the spirit that he had. The Spirit of Sport Award this year is going to another man, a coach. He's coached at Evansville Central before. And this year, he came back and helped a little bit. He's been fighting adversity also, but he has overcome it. We like to talk, we were told a little bit ago, you run into storms in your life. We're the storm. You run into nothing till you run into us. We face the storm head on. We have a little saying in our basement, in our little sports area there. It says, and you listen to this, players, because I'm going to tell you what, it's true. Be tough on yourself. Be tough on yourself. Don't give yourself anything. You earn, you work, you go for everything you need. And if you're tough on yourself, life will be easier. You can't be any tougher. Life can't be tougher on you than you are on yourself. So winner of this year's Fred Breitfelder Spirit Sport Award, Mike Owen.
First of all, I'd like to thank Paul for putting on this day. There's nothing greater than being around football people. Football people are my favorite type of people, have been my whole life. So that's the day that I got to speak to Mr. Breitfelder and learn about his son. Not really sure if I'm worthy of this honor after talking to him. But spend a lifetime in football, wouldn't choose anything else. Out of the clear blue sky, our team's heading along great. Coach Burgess allowed me to be on the staff again this year. I've been with Central Football for 43 years, something like that. But we're going great, and I get sick. And I really didn't have much choice. They called me in, they said, you got leukemia. So I got a great wife, 3 kids, 5 grandchildren. I got to make a decision. I can either live with leukemia or I can die with leukemia. And I sure as heck was going to try to live with leukemia. So I set some goals. I won't be long, but I set some goals and met with my doctors, sent me to Vanderbilt, St. Louis, IU, medical school. Told me I can get as good care there as anywhere. So I went to IU Medical School, and I want to tell all the football players out here that are with your rivals today, and guys you compete against, and you think we got to beat them, and you do want to beat them. That's fierce competition. But let me tell you this. I walked into IU Medical School, and the guy that was the head of the bone marrow transplant unit at IU Medical School in Indianapolis was cold 1971 all-city quarterback for Evansville, Indiana. The other cold all-city quarterback from Evansville in 1971 was myself. And so I walked in there, and my doctor was Dr. Bob Nelson, great player for Wrights High School, and he said, Mike, I saw your name, and I was so hoping it wasn't you. And I said, well, it is, Bob, but I know I'm in good hands. And I respected him in high school as a football player, and look what he turned out to be. And I knew right then I wasn't going to Vanderbilt, I wasn't going to St. Louis, I was going with my football guy at Indiana University. Now, my youngest son, Chris, who's a fierce competitor, he said, Dad, you gotta let a rights guy determine your life? And I said, you're darn right I am. And the second time, my teammate from high school said, oh, you gonna let a rights guy do it? He's the greatest doctor around. I've had great doctors, and I'm blessed with that. Set a few goals. So the first goal was get back to my team. Get back with Coach Burgess and the players I've been with for 6 years. We knew we had a good team this year. I wanted to get back with my coaches. I felt good. The coach's office, on the field, I was coaching defensive backs, and that I was in my element. And coach, that's all I ever wanted to be, was a football coach. And so I felt good about that. I remember the doctor told me, don't get around those sweaty guys and let them hug you. And our big first time back, our big 6'6" defensive end, Razel Joyner, sweating and all over him, comes up and bear hugs me, but I didn't really care. That was fine. But that was the first goal, to get back with my team. Second goal was get through the transplant, which I did, and try to win this thing. Luckily, I got into remission. I was doing really well. I made it back to work. And I thought I was doing fine, and then I had a little relapse. But a relapse is just a setback to turn into a comeback. And if I have to do it again, I'll do it again. So all you guys out there, enjoy your competition, enjoy your young lives, enjoy competing, do the best that you can do, but it's the people. When you get my age, it's the people that you meet. Meeting with Coach Gaddis today was unbelievable. Just like yesterday, we didn't win too many sectionals because it was pretty hard to beat Coach Gaddis, so I'll tell you that. But anyway, just enjoy the people you're with and enjoy your life. Thank you very much.
Our next awards, the Cuban Network's 2018 Indiana Football Digest Players of the Year. So gentlemen, you know who you are. If you can, begin to make your way toward the left side of the stage to the ramp. Back to make this presentation from the Indiana Football Digest, Matt Copson. Correction. Matt, you've been fired. Paul Condry.
All right, you 1 through 6A guys, come on up here, if you will. Following along in the program, if you will. The Class 1A Player of the Year from Pioneer High School, Jack Kaiser. The 6'2", 210-pound quarterback completed 62 of 94 passes for 1,183 yards and 18 touchdowns, and also ran 177 times for 2,109 yards and 44 scores for the two-time defending state champion Panthers, 15-0, in addition to recording 159 tackles and 7 interceptions, 5 fumble recoveries. He threw for 3,771 career yards with 59 touchdowns and ran for 7,364 yards in 139 scores. I'm really grateful that he's here because he's now at the University of Notre Dame. Congratulations. All right, Spencer Wright from Western Boone High School is our Class 2A Player of the Year. The 6', 175-pound junior signal caller was instrumental in the Stars' 15-0 run to the Class 2A state championship, along with completing 145 of 220 passes for 2,469 yards with 31 touchdowns. He also scampered 97 times for 525 yards and 9 scores for his career. He is 362 of 583 for 5,400 yards with 60 touchdowns and has 207 rushes for 940 yards and 15 scores. He's also a member of the Prime Time 25 and will be on the cover of next year's football book. High School George Galatas, the 6'4", 260-pound defensive lineman, recorded 106 tackles with 56 tackles for loss and 17.5 quarterback sacks for the Class 3A state champion Red Devils. He closed out his career with 332 stops, including 176 for loss, 41 quarterback sacks, and 3 fumble recoveries. Congratulations, George. Class 4A Mishawaka High School's Chris Harness, the 5'7", 175-pound running back, has a big role in leading the Cavemen to a Class 4A sectional and regional championships by running 416 times for a school record 2,705 yards with 28 touchdowns. He also became the school's all-time leading rusher with 4,570 yards and 33 touchdowns. Chris Harness, Mishawaka High School. Class 5A, Charlie Stiegel, member of the Dragons 14-0 squad, the Class 5A state championship squad. He accumulated 318 carries for 3,356 yards and a state record 70 total touchdowns. Entering his senior campaign, he has 7,729 total yards with 120 total scores and will most likely break the career record for 8,110 yards rushing. Also a member of next year's cover book of the Primetime 25. Congratulations, Charlie. Central High School here in Indianapolis, David Bell, the 6'4", 190-pound pass catcher, hauled in 85 receptions for 1,542 yards and 22 scores for the state champs. A member of the 2018 Class 4A state championship basketball team. He finished with 240 catches for 4,467 yards with 57 touchdowns. Once again, our Cubic Networks 1 through 6 members.
Time now for the big school all-state team. If you're on that team, I think you know the drill by now. Move this way. Now, before we make these presentations, let me say a couple of things. One, I told you it would be inspirational, and it has been. Secondly, I told you that the man responsible is Paul Condry. Drop him a note, email, send him a note. I know sending notes is old-fashioned. You might even call him on the real phone. But tell him how much you appreciate what he's done. Not only with the magazine, the network, but an event like this. You heard earlier, I spent 21 years coaching college basketball. I love basketball. It's been everything I had in my life. I like you, Coach. I want to be a basketball coach. We don't do this in our basketball world. We need to. You know, this is an event that's unique, and I think one of the most fun days I have in the things that I get a chance to do some really neat things, and this is at the top of the list. So let us bring back to the stage, I think he's allowed back on the stage now, Matt Copsey and Brian Schroll.
Some of the gentlemen from the big school and small school all-state teams are not here today. We're still going to go through them alphabetically as they are in your program. First up, you just met him as the Player of the Year, David Bell from Warren Central. Trayvon Booker of Lawrence Central. I've been told he's not here. DJ Bowles of Avon. PJ Buck of Center Grove. Tyler Booker of Valparaiso. Clayton Cole of Franklin. John Einman of Mooresville. Romare Elliott of Lawrence Central, we've told is not here. Nate Fry of Carmel. Brian Gaffney of Center Grove. Michael Garrett of Fort Wayne Bishop Dwanger. Jaden George of Lawrence Central. You just met this young man from my alma mater, Mishawaka, Chris Harness. Juwan Jones of Indianapolis, Ben Davis. Austin Keel of Palestine is not here. Bo Robbins of Carmel. Joey Schmidt of Carmel also is not here. Caleb Shaper of Carmel. Shamar Smith of Decatur Central. Charlie Spiegel of New Palestine. Joe Tippman of Fort Wayne Bishop Flanger. Larry Tracy of Decatur Central is not here. Chase Triplett of Michigan City. Jonah Wickman of Columbus East. And last but not certainly least, Bronson Yoder of Northwood. Ladies and gentlemen, that's your 2018 Big School All-State team.
Should have asked you small school guys to assemble, so if you don't mind, the small school all state, let's make our way to the left side, your right side, our left side.
Nino Barbosa of White. Dawson Basinger of North Central Farmersburg is not here. Jashawn Berlanga, of Adams Central. Adam Bowman of Conconicua is not here. Michael Campbell of Paoli. The next four recipients are not here. Michael Clemens of North Judson, Bronson Combs of Evansville Memorial, R.J. Irv of West Lafayette, and Max Goodwin of Evansville Memorial. Next up then is Daniel Gregorich of Pioneer. Sage Hood of West Lafayette. George Karloftis of West Lafayette. Zane Kirby of Eastbrook. Jack Kaiser of Pioneer. Isaiah Lacey of Indian Creek. Dawson of Tri-County. Michael Lindauer of Evansville Memorial is not here. Landry Osmond of Oak Hill. Bailey Sprunger of Adams Central. Aaron Steele of Triton Central. Connor Walker of Pioneer. Devin Weekley of Western Boone. Gage Woodard of North Vermilion. Kavion Woodard of West Lafayette. And Jacob Wonder of Bremen. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2018 Small School All-Star.
Okay, if I can get all the primetime 25 guys to line up over here. Jason, please. Let's scoot, guys. You know, coaches, I've noticed that, during practice, guys move at a little faster pace. I don't know what it is with the strut. Thomas, this is what we're going to get all the time from here on in. All right, let's get to it. I'm not going to read the bios, follow along. So guys, we're going to fly through this, okay? We're going to lead it off in alphabetical order. You guys can figure that out, right? Kyle Adams, West Lafayette High School. His quarterback. Ira Armstead, South Bend John Adams High School. From Cecina High School, David Baker. Angola High School's Brian Brandt. From Carmel High School, Cole Brevard. From Fishers High School, Jeff Brown. Jeffrey. From Evansville Memorial High School, Brock Combs. From Culver Academy, Deontay Craig. From Bishop Dwenger High School in Fort Wayne, Hayden Ellinger. Look at those shoes. These are right out of the Pat Boone playbook. There's only 20 people who know who Pat Boone is. Boy, did I just date myself on that one. Beech Grove High School, you notice when he walked up, the sun was kind of blotted out, but here he is, Big Josh Fryer. There's an offensive line between those two. Zionsville High School, Gus Hartwig. Randy Holson, Fort Wayne Snyder, could not be with us. He had a family scenario going on. Nathaniel James was here earlier. He had his photos taken, and they have a football thing going on at Avon High School, so we'll move on to New Prairie High School product, Chase Ketterer. Ethan Lowry, Heritage Christian High School. From Charlestown High School, Marion Lukes. From Lutheran High School in Indianapolis, Marcus McFadden. From Anderson High School, Malachi Qualls. From Bishop Chittard High School here in Indianapolis, Joseph Solomon. He's a legacy. His brother was on the cover. He's the little one. From New Palestine High School, Charlie Spiegel. From North Decatur High School, Alex Stern. From Bloomington South High School, Maverick Derry. Kenny Tracy could not be with us. He's at an AAU basketball tournament. From Warren Central High School, Randy Wells, Jr. And finally, from Western Boone High School, Spencer Wright. All right, just a final thought or two. First of all, I want to thank so many coaching friends throughout the course of the last 27 years that we've been doing the Indiana Football Digest. Many of you, like Coach Gillen and Coach Gaddis, so many guys who remember when we started with a little 74-page, 8.5 by 11 book, and remember going to every Indiana Football Coaches Association region, talking to coaches, asking for help. The reason we're here today, I don't want to take anything away from you young guys, but from the old guard on, I cannot thank you enough for believing in me. Thank you so much. For the young guard, and I'm going to say probably some 40 on, don't give up on this book. Make sure that you buy this book. Make sure your schools are buying this book, because of what your participation in this book, we get to do things like this. That's the end of the fire and brimstone thing. I feel blessed to have to be able to share this night with so many friends. I look out in the crowd, and some of you I've known you since you were student athletes. And it's like Coach Gaddis and Coach Owen talked about. Some of these guys I haven't seen since they were high school football players, when I was physically in your school taking your picture. To see you grow up and become the fine men that you are. And I would say continue on, because you've got lives to change that are under your care right now. I've had several people come up to me and talk about the faith-based aspect of this event. I'll never apologize for that. The one thing that pleases me most is to have people who I respect and who I love and understand that this has become my ministry for the last 27 years. It's not about blocking and tackling. It's about things that Coach Allen talked about, Coach Gaddis talked about, that Jason talked about. It's about relationships and continuing those relationships. So we've had a chance to share this night together. Kind of got a little bumpy through the dinner thing there, but we kind of survived it all. But the bottom line is, to you student athletes, I want one favor of you before you leave. One favor before you leave. If you're here with your parent or grandparent or guardian, I want you to look at your mom and dad, or whoever it may be, right now, and tell them that you love them. Mom and Dad, I did my best. Once again, on behalf of the Indiana Football Digest, the Regional Radio Sports Network, I want to thank my staff. Thanks to my great friend Bob Lovell. Once again, your Griddies, hashtag Griddies 2019. The book will be available at the North-South All-Star Game. I can't begin to thank you for your longtime support of this. And on behalf of something I always close with all my radio programs and games with, on behalf of our entire team at the Regional Radio Sports Network, God bless you all. Semper Fidelis. Good night, everyone.